Good morning, students. In this session, I'm going to discuss about variables and constant, which are very important in any programming language. In our previous class, we studied how C++ has been originated. C++ was developed by John Stroustrup at AT&T Bell Labs, USA in early 1980. Stroustrup incorporated the object-oriented programming language feature available in Simula 67 to the structured programming concept available in C language, and he modified the C language and renamed it as C++. Why it has been renamed as C++ means generally plus plus is used to indicate in C an increment. Plus plus is an increment operator. Since C was incremented by adding the object-oriented features of C, object-oriented feature, it's called a C++. We also studied some of the major differences between C and C++. In C, function prototype is not compulsory, but in C++, function prototype is compulsory. Function prototype is a type of declaration that tells so many things to the compiler. It tells what is the name of the function, how many arguments the function takes, what is the data type of each and every argument, and what is the data type of the return value. So this is a type of declaration which is not compulsory in C. The next one is in C, the character constant is automatically elevated to int type, but in C, it's not like that. In C, any identifier you take, the only 31 characters in that identifier is considered as significant. But in C++, such restriction is not there. But still, it's not a good practice. Better to restrict the identifier name to 31 characters only. Otherwise, what happens is, wherever you are using that variable, all the character has to be typed. So it takes time and there is a chances of committing mistakes. In C, the address of register variable you cannot get. But in C++, even the address of register variable also we can get it. And finally, C is a structured programming or a procedure-oriented programming language, and C++ is an object-oriented programming language. We also discussed about the basic programming components in C++, such as character set, keywords, identifiers, etc. The main objective of this session is to introduce the concept of constants and variables in C++. We also discuss about how to declare variables in C++ and to provide an overview of the different types of constant supported by C++ language. At the end of this session, you should be in a position to understand what are variables and what are constant, how to declare variable, what are all the different types of constant available in C++. A variable is nothing but an identifier, the value of which can change during program execution. What do you mean by an identifier? Identifier is nothing but a name given either to a variable, constant, function, class, object, etc. So an identifier, a variable refers to a memory location. The content of that memory location can change during program execution. All the variable must be declared before they are actually used in the program. But in this case, the major difference between C and C++ is in C, all the variable must be declared in the beginning itself in the declaration part. But in C++, the variable must have been declared before they are actually used in the program. Every variable that you are using in your program is associated with a particular data type. Data type specify type of value the variable can take. The general syntax of declaration of variable in C++, data type, variable name 1, variable name 2, etc. Example, int a, b. So this is a declaration line that declares two variables a and b of integer type. Float x, y declare two variables x and y of float type, and char z declare another variable called z, which is of character type. The value of the variable can change during program execution. In contrast to this one, a counterpart of that one is constant. Constant refers to fixed value. The value of the constant cannot change during program execution. C++ support different types of constant. Integer constant, floating constant, character constant, string constant. These are the different types of constant supported by C++. Another difference between a variable and a constant is, for variable, data type must be explicitly specified. But for constant, data type should not, data type is not specified explicitly. That means looking at the value of that constant, the compiler automatically understands the type of constant. The first type of constant is integer constant. Integer constant is nothing but sequence of digit without a fractional part. Integer constant always refers to whole numbers. An integer constant can be represented in three different notation or three different number system. The first one is decimal integer constant. A decimal integer constant is a sequence of any digit from 0 to 9 without a fractional part. But an integer constant can have either a plus sign or a minus sign. If integer constant consists of two or more digits, the rule says that the first digit should be not 0, should not be a 0. Example, 98, 0, 230, minus 1, 2, 2, 3, etc. In all these examples, except single digit 0, the first, in all the remaining constants, the first digit is not 0. But if the integer constant consists of 1, 0, only one digit means, then that need not be represented as 0, 0. It should be represented as only 0. Octal integer constant. An octal integer constant is also sequence of digit from 0 to 7 only, because the maximum permitted digit in an octal number system is 7. In case of octal integer constant, the first digit should be 0. That is the difference between an octal integer constant and a decimal integer constant. The first digit is 0, it is treated as octal integer constant. If it is not 0, it is treated as decimal integer constant. Example, 023, 045, 0, minus 023, etc. Similar to decimal integer constant, an octal integer constant also can have a sign. Hexadecimal integer constant. Hexadecimal integer constant is another type of constant which consists of sequence of digit from 0 to 9. In addition to that one, it can also contain alphabets A, B, C, D, E, F. In your first semester, in your digital electronics and computer fundamental paper, you have studied what are the different types of number system. So in the case of hexadecimal number system, the radix at the base is 16. But first 10 digits of hexadecimal number system is denoted by the decimal digit 0 to 9. But 10 onward, it is represented by means of alphabets 10 by A, 11 B, 12 C, etc. And F corresponds to 50. Here also, the hexadecimal integer constant also can have plus or minus sign. Example, in the case of hexadecimal number system, the first two digits should be 0x. Only 0 means octal. 0x means the compiler treats it as hexadecimal integer constant. The letter x can be either in lower case or it can be in uppercase. Example, 0x23a8, 0x939, minus 0x92af, etc. Unsigned integer constant. An unsigned integer constant is a sequence of digits from 0 to 9, but it should end with the letter u. U can be either uppercase u or lowercase u. A long integer constant is one, just that is also similar to unsigned integer constant. That is also a sequence of digit with a plus or minus n, but it should end with the letter L, capital L or small l. Example, 0x234ul. Since the first two digit is 0x, it is treated as 0x means treated as hexadecimal integer constant. Since u and l both are present, u denote it's an unsigned integer constant, and l denote it is a long integer constant. So 0x234ul denote unsigned long integer hexadecimal constant. Similarly, 0x235lu, it is an hexadecimal long integer unsigned constant. 0x234l long integer constant. That is also long integer hexadecimal constant. The next type of constant is floating constant. It's also referred to as real constant. The difference between an integer constant and a real constant, a float constant, is an integer constant cannot have a decimal point and a fractional part, but a float constant consists of decimal point also. A float constant can be represented in two different notation depending on your requirements. The first one is decimal notation and the second one is scientific notation. Scientific notation is also called as exponential notation. In a decimal notation, a float constant consists of two parts separated by a decimal point dot. The number before dot is called as whole number part. The number after the decimal point is considered as fractional part. Whole number part and the fractional part must be separated by dot. A floating constant in decimal notation is suitable for representing small size, small numbers. But sometimes in many situations, what happens is we need to represent a very large number. At the same time, we need to represent a very small number also. In order to represent a very large floating constant or a very small floating constant, we go for the next notation called scientific notation. In a scientific notation, your float constant consists of two parts, mantissa and exponent separated by the letter E. You can see here, minus 2.345 E minus 33. So here the number before E, that is minus 2.345, is considered as mantissa and minus 33 is considered as exponent. Both mantissa and exponent can have their own sign. Mantissa also can be both positive and negative. Exponent also can be both positive and negative. What do you mean by mantissa? Mantissa nothing but a float constant represented in decimal notation, because mantissa itself consists of both whole number part and the fractional part. So mantissa is nothing but a float constant represented in decimal notation. The third category of constant is character constant. Character constant is nothing but any single character available in the character set of C language. You enclose it between two single quotes, it is treated as a character constant. Character means need not be alphabet. It can be alphabets, digit, any special character, but only one character must be taken into consideration, and you put it between two single quotation marks. Then the compiler treat it as a character constant. Example, A, B, less than 3, etc. Because less than 3 all are available in the character set of C++. And the last type of constant is string constant. A string constant is a sequence of characters enclosed between two double quotation marks. Again, here also same thing. Since it's a sequence of character, means character can be either alphabets, digits, or special character. Example, Maharani, computer science, 1989, etc. Here you can observe 1989 have enclosed between two double quotation marks to treat it as or to indicate it as a string constant. If the double quote is not there, then it is considered as integer constant. So far we have studied the different concepts like constant, variable, how to declare variable, how to declare constant, what are the different types of constant, and how the constants are classified based on the number system, etc. So based on the today's session, these are some of the review questions that may appear in your examination. With an example, explain the differences between constants and variables in C++. The major difference is constant have a fixed value, the value of which cannot change during program execution. Variable will have different value at different point in the program. Variable, the data type must be mentioned explicitly. For constant, data type should not be mentioned explicitly. Write a note on different types of constant. Here I have to explain all the types of constant like integer constant, real float constant, character constant, and string constant. In integer constant, there are five different categories like decimal integer constant, octal, hexadecimal, unsigned, and long. Distinguish 1988 and 1988 enclosed between two double quotes. First case, 1988 double quote is not there. In that case, it is treated as integer constant. Whereas 1988 within the double quote is considered as a string constant. How to declare variables in C++? Give an example. Here you have to write first the general syntax. Data type, variable 1, variable 2, etc. Later one example. And to check what you have understood, or to check your level of understanding, whether you understood the concept or not, I have framed some 5 multiple choice questions. In C++, 2 is considered as a dash constant. Since 2 is enclosed between two double quotation marks, the answer is it's a string constant. So the correct answer is C. 025 is equivalent to dash in decimal system. 025, since the first digit is 0, it is considered as an octal constant. So how you have to represent it in decimal system? So in that case, we should know how to convert an octal number into decimal number. In your first semester, you have studied a conversion of a number from one number system to another system. So to convert 25 in octal to decimal, what you have to do is, it is 2 into 8 to the power of 1 plus 5 into 8 to the power of 0. 2 into 8 to the power of 8 is 16 plus 5 into 8 to the power of 0 is 5. 16 plus 5, the answer is 21. The correct answer is A. The notation used to represent very small real number is called decimal notation, scientific notation, exponential notation, both B and C. Because the notation used to represent a very large number or a very small number is scientific notation, is also called as exponential notation. The correct answer is both B and C. So the correct answer is D. Which of the following is an invalid octal integer constant? 025, 083, 0, 0123445. So the octal integer constant rule says that the first digit is 0 if it is 2 or more digit number. Otherwise, if it's single digit number, it should be 0. So first case, it is true. In the second case, 083, the permitted digit in an octal system are 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 only. Since 8 is there, it is an invalid integer, invalid octal integer constant. The correct answer is B. Identify the wrong statement. Variable value can be altered during assignment operator. True. 024 is an octal integer constant. No. Even though 0 is there, since it is enclosed between two double quotation marks, it is considered as a string constant. So statement B is wrong. 1921 within the double quotes plus 1 is 1922, wrong, because an integer cannot be added to a string constant. So C is also wrong. So correct answer is D. Both B and C are wrong. Hope you have enjoyed today's session. If you have any doubt or any queries, if you want me to ask, you can send your queries to my email ID, or you can post your query in the comment section of Google Class. When we have a live class every week, I'm fixing one live class where we will try to clear all your doubt. We have a discussion there. It's a one-to-one correspondence. Thank you.